Good morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over the 5 best material farms right now. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so materials. Now obviously I've been farming up all of the materials within Shadowlands just so I can actually gather enough data on which ones are performing the best, which ones are not in the grand scheme of things, and then we can actually give a good idea on which ones are actually the best overall, and then we can actually see which ones are the ones that we should be doubling down on, which ones we should probably just leave aside. From all of that, let's get into number 1, which is Phaedrum Ore. Now this is a mining farm, of course, because it's an ore, and this one actually is farmed up in Addons. Now obviously I've done a video on this, I've done a video on every material, but now for obvious reasons the route for this is in the description down below along with the actual video. So basically what it will actually be is the links to those videos which have the WorthIt imports and also the routes. Aside from that, the only thing for this actual particular farm is some of the time you do come across some hard-hitting enemies, especially at level 60, so it would be prepared to actually go ahead invisible or try and avoid them if you are going to go in along with that. That is the only downside to this farm, is when you get to like the top right corner of the map, you're going to start getting attacked more frequently, and then as soon as you start moving away from there, you'll find it a bit more easier in order to farm up that type of stuff. Now, aside from all of that, I did find this farm to be quite helpful. It was rather easy in order to do. It was only that top right area that gave me a little bit of trouble, but aside from all of that, this was definitely a farm well worth actually doing, as you got quite a lot of Phaedrum Ore through that. This one can also be paired with herbalism as a multi-farm as well if you are a herbalist and also a miner. So that is something you can do right there. Aside from all of that, coming in at number 2 is Vigils Torch. Now Vigils Torch is another Addons actual farm, and this one is done on the other side of the map, also going upwards the map instead of across. So this one is definitely something I really enjoyed. The only thing of note that I actually found a bit annoying was the invisible panthers, which were on the far left hand side of the map as you were coming down. Aside from all of that, this was relatively easy to actually do, and quite frankly I found this one to be even better than the Phaedrum Ore farm, but if I could actually pair this with on its own, I would. You can do this with a multi farm, but it isn't as profitable as the Phaedrum Ore one. So if you are a herbalist and miner, go with the Phaedrum Ore one from number 1. But if you were just a herbalist, then I would go for Vigils Torch, as you can get a lot of Vigils Torch with this farm, and it just works out really good. Especially if you are an alchemist or a scribe, this is really good in order to get a lot of Vigils Torch for your crafts. So that's something you can do right there. And again, the link for that is in the description down below. Aside from all of that, guys, let's just jump into number 3, which is Sinvyr Ore. I love Sinvyr Ore. This farm was amazingly fun to farm. From all of that, I found that this farm was really good due to the fact of the low density of the actual area. So what I'm saying is you have a high density of nodes within this, and you don't have to move that far. This is why I like Sinvyr Ore quite a bit, because the node spawns for this actual particular farm is very clustered together, which makes it easy to construct a route around that. The only thing I would actually say is make sure you're adequately geared, make sure that you're in Guardian spec. I kind of forget this. Thank you guys for that video when you actually were watching it. A lot of you guys actually mentioned, why don't you just be a Guardian spec to actually go ahead and do this. I forget. So aside from all of that, if you're a druid, go Guardian spec, you won't get dazed and all that stuff. But aside from that, some of those mobs are quite hard hitting, so if you are going to do that route, just be careful. It's something that is quite prevalent in Revendreth. A lot of those mobs hit quite hard, so just be aware of that right there. But other than that, Sinvyr Ore seems to be one of the most profitable ores out there at the moment, and in the grand scheme of things, it's looking to be one of the top ores just out there, flat out. The only thing that I did find that was pretty crap about the farm was just those hard-hitting mobs that just kept hitting you every now and then. If you get yourself caught out, you're going to get yourself wrecked really easily. But aside from that, if you are adequately geared, you should be fine, except for me. But aside from all of that, let's move into number 4, which is Marrowroot. Now, I'm actually quite surprised by this one because this one's the Maldraxxus farm. So obviously you'll be in Maldraxxus, and Marrowroot farm is one of the first farms I actually covered, and this one actually proves to be quite good. At the moment it's one of the best performing herb farms. It seems to be working really well in the grand scheme of things, and overall the farm is super easy. Like the route that I was taking for that video is very condensed. Well, not really condensed, but it's very easy. So that farm for that is a really easy route. You're basically just going in a circle or like an oval shape around the map, and you come into less frequent mobs than you usually would in any other zone. So I found that one to be quite helpful. It was really easy in order to do, and quite frankly I just found it a very easy way in order to get a load of herbs really easily. And not only that, this is like a really expensive herb in the grand scheme of things, just by in general. I found that this is definitely something, if you really want to just make some gold, go do Marrowroot. Aside from all of that, the thing I did find with this is it can actually be paired as a multi-farm, such as like with number 1 for Phaedrum Ore. The number 4 one for Marrowroot is actually able to be done as a multi-farm as well, and it works really well as a multi-farm for both things. Now, aside from all of that, guys, that is pretty much what I'd actually say. Obviously the route is in the description down below with the corresponding video for that. Aside from all of that, let's move into our last and final one at number 5, which is Widowbloom. Now, I love Widowbloom. Seriously, this farm and or herb is actually holding a really strong price at the moment. I have no clue why. It's doing exceedingly well. It's actually more profitable to just go farm the herbs and use that for your crafts than you usually would. This is definitely a high-priced herb at the moment. Like, even on my server for Argent Dawn EU, it's hitting like 30k per hour still, and it still hasn't balanced out, where all of the other farms have dropped down to like 14 to 18,000 gold per hour. This one is staying steady at like 30k. That's insane, but in the grand scheme of things, it seems to be doing okay overall for everyone else as well, and it seems to be one of the best farms out there for people to do. Now obviously this is in Revendreth, and the farming route for this is nearly the same as the ore farm, so it can be done as a multi-farm. Same with the Sinvyr Ore, and quite frankly it's well worth your time to actually go do this. I would personally take the actual route for the Widowbloom one and use that to mine the ore as well, and use that because that's a bit of a longer route, but it covers all of the herbs, and then in the middle of that farm you've got all of the Sinvyr Ore, so you're doing all of them at once and you can get more gold per hour for that. So that's something I will be testing on in the future. Other than that, guys, that is pretty much all I have to say for today's video. Take it easy, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow. If you want to support the channel and help make the channel even better, then why not check out the Patreon? Members get additional info, gold making resources, and Patreon specific content. The link is located in the description down below. Thank you, and have an awesome day.
Yeah.